Okay, what up, everybody? It's the King B Show, and we're gonna go live on the radio in just about a minute and a half. I just wanted to get my live on my YouTube popping. And what's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? You know, we have a great show tonight, and I just am so excited to have my guest on. She's my big sister in my head. She's been a real good supporter since who knows when. I think since my book came out about 5 years ago, and you know, she's been so humble about her hustle and her industry life. Tonight we're going to be talking about her life, her family's life, her daughter's life that's now a man. We're going to get into it. Let me turn down the music. Okay, so I hope everybody is tuned in. We're about to go live in about 45 seconds. 45 seconds in the live in the system in the 45 seconds. I'm going to go live in a minute. I can't wait. I'm calling live in 35 seconds, in 35 seconds, in 35 seconds.
You can hang up now to avoid the charge. Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please enter your host pin. When finished, press the pound key.
Oh, I forgot to do something.
The pin you entered. I'm sorry, but I did not hear you press at least 4 digits of your pin number. Thank you for using Blog Talk Radio. Goodbye. It's outside of your plan.
Okay, guys, so we're having technical difficulties, but it's okay. It's okay.
Hang up now to avoid the charge.
It's okay. It's okay. I see the devil's trying to work me today. But it's okay, because I'm going to get this right in 2 seconds.
Welcome to Blog Talk Radio. Please enter your host pin. When finished, press the pound key. To start your show now, press 1.
Rocket from a wallet, one up in the chamber, ain't no need for me to cock it. Niggas get the dropping, when that Draco get the popping. All up on this cottage, full of cigar, full of popping. Cookie, no check, when I'm cash, nigga, I don't do deposits. Bitches cross the border, nigga, bitches from the tropics. I'ma get that bag, nigga, ain't no doubt about it. Yeah, I'ma feed my family, nigga, ain't no way around it. Family, ain't gon' never let up, nigga.
What's up? What's up? What's up? It's your boy Brennan Ortiz here, and I'm your host of the King B Show. I know we're running a little late today. I don't know what was going on, but the devil was trying me. Tonight we have a great show. We are talking about accepting your child and either being a homosexual or just just embracing their sexuality. Tonight we have a great person, a big sister in my head. I love to call her that because she is so supportive right now of my journey, and I've been supportive and been supporting her since I've known her on TV. You guys will all know her from VH1 Gossip Game. Back in a couple of years ago, she was on that reality show, but she is now known for being Gossip Viv, also known as one of the hosts of thisis50.com, but now she is an author of the book, How I Came to Love My Son. I think I said that totally wrong, guys, but it's okay. How I Came to Accept Him. It's about her accepting her son, her daughter, who transitions into a male. It is a blessing to have someone on this show today, on the King B Show, talking about transgender lifestyle. And it's not from an individual who has transitioned, but it's from an individual who had a child transition from one sex to another. This is a blessing because of the fact that a lot of people deal with a situation and don't know how to actually handle the situation. Vivian was able to go ahead and, despite her religious background, she was able to go ahead and address the situation. And you know, she may have went through ups and downs and, you know, second guessed her lifestyle and second guessed her parenthood. But at the end of the day, she loved her child unconditionally. And when loving someone unconditionally, you accept them for who they are and what they are, no matter what they're going through. So tonight we're going to have, like I said, Vivian Billings on author of How I Came to Accept Him, Loving Your Child for Who They Are. And like she is going to talk about transgender. At the end of the day, she wants to go ahead and express her perspective from being a parent of a child that transitioned from one sex to another. And she's going to get into that tonight. Tonight, like I'm so pleased to have her. Right now, we're going to go ahead and go into a music break. And then once we come back from the music break, I'm going to give you a short introduction on her. And once we give her a short introduction, we'll definitely go ahead and get her on the line tonight. Guys, we are streaming live from Blog Talk Radio, iTunes podcast, as well as our new YouTube live channel, which is such a blessing to have so many outlets because a lot of people did not have the opportunity to actually view us live. My show is done from based of my home studio. So everything is raw, everything is uncut, nothing is edited, nothing is scripted. I'm going off my mind. The only thing that's scripted is my questions because I make sure that I write them in my little handy red notebook at the end of the day. But like I said, guys, I do want you all to tune in. And actually, if you have questions, please tune in and call 909-232-9235. This is the King B Show. And we're going to go on a music break, guys.
Gonna be a fantastic day. I'm getting tired of that roll. I think I want the tea for it. It's all I win or you lose because I want to self defeat. And everybody want to have a song. Well, I got the recipe. I'm sipping on better because it made me feel like I'm on ecstasy. I love my baby when I come home. I be rubbing on her feet. And she be always in my chest. She hate when I be in the street. My real taller than my son. About to drop another one. Think a nigga in the bed where I hit him with that drum. Sipping on Bella. My chick from Bella. My whip from Germany, I'm cool in LL. I'm sipping on Bella. My chick from Bella. My whip from Germany, I'm cool in LL. I got a nigga like Patty Cake. I got a nigga like Patty Cake. I swing, I got flavor, I got song, call me Ragu. I love my baby girl, pussy ball, call her Caillou. I got a nigga like Patty Cake. My chain VVS, I'm booted up, I got more pills than the CVS. All this shit, baby girl, so I got stains in my jaw. All this money like a nigga hit the fucking paw.
All right, but I don't know who that was, but at the end of the day, that's who's playing in the background. In the background. I don't know none of this new music that's been playing on the radio lately, and that's crazy. That's why my show is not a music show. My show is a society-based show where we open your eyes to what society is afraid to address. And now with the president that we got, he has a whole bunch of rules that I don't. Honestly, when he's on our TV, he's orange, and I don't even pay him no mind. I change the channel to reality television, which is not really reality. So like I was saying, we do have Vivian, author Vivian Billings coming on, aka Gossip Viv. You guys can follow her on social media at Gossip Viv. The life of a radio personality and celebrity blogger, Vivian Gossip Viv Billings, has never been easy. As a mother of two at the age of 16, she dealt with the harsh reality of an abusive relationship and a boyfriend uninterested in helping raise their children. With great personal strength, she eventually left him behind and began a new life with her children. Years later, Viv once again recalled on the strength when her child, Khadijah, confirmed and confided in her that she was not her daughter, but her son. The news came as a shock to Vivian and vowed to protect Kadijah and herself by separating her personal life from her public persona. All is well until Vivian began filming VH1's Gossip Game. So if you guys remember VH1's The Gossip Game, Vivian was a part of that reality show. She was a cast member of the reality show. She was a part of the reality show along with Power 105's Breakfast Club, Angela, Kim, I forgot her last name, Kim O, I'm gonna call her. as well as she was on the show with, oh man, a couple of other journalists that are in the hip hop industry. When she was on the show, it was an incident where she was speaking, you know, about her life. It was about her life. When the cameras follow you, there's nothing that you can really filter unless it is something that you already signed a contract and stated, I don't want this to be shown. And I felt like she was so authentic. She was the realest individual on the show. She let them into her life. And even though me watching her, I really don't get to see much of her children. You get to see her children on social media here and there. But at the end of the day, she doesn't really want the industry to actually be projected to her family. And when I read her book, How I Came to Accept Him, which is now available on Barnes & Noble, when I read her book, it's not into chapters. It's actually part 1, 2, and 3. And I was kind of emotional wrecked. One, because she was a mother at 14. A mother at 14. She's been a mother for a very long time. I think her oldest child is probably in their 20s now. She's been a mother for a very long time. For her to go ahead and, you know, have a religious background as being a Muslim. And I'm not going to say too much because I want her to actually come online and actually project her story. And I want her to come on the radio and project her story. All my listeners that are watching on YouTube, you are actually going to be able to hear her speak on our radio show, because we do have it on speaker at the moment, where she'll be actually answering questions, speaking her truth, and speaking her life and how she overcame everything. Right before we get to her, like I said, she is going to come online and she's going to project everything. I do want to go ahead and introduce the author of How I Came to Accept Him, Loving Your Child for Who They Are, Miss Vivian Billings, aka Gossip Viv, as we all know. She's VH1's The Gossip Game cast member, as well as thisis50.com. I want to go ahead and invite her on right now. And if she is on, can you hear me, guys? Vivian?
Yes, I can hear you. Hey, Brandon.
How you doing, Viv?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. I was just giving my audience a background on you and telling them about your book. I did go ahead and give you a great introduction. I used the back of your book as your introduction because I felt like that was actually a synopsis of who you are and how much strength you have to go ahead and deal with what you dealt with as far as embracing your child for who they are. And I just want you to give them a brief synopsis, introduce yourself, give them a brief synopsis of what the book is about, and then we're going to get into a couple of questions.
Okay, cool. Well, of course, I am Gossip Viv. Some people know me from VH1, and the other half knows me from thisis50.com. And basically what my book is about is titled How I Came to Accept Him, and the subtitle is, of course, Loving Your Child for Who They Are. And it's just basically my struggle as a parent in accepting my child who is transgender.
Okay, great. So I was reading the book, and then I was doing, because me being I want to say a newly journalist, and I felt like this was my passion because I have a whole big personality, and I did want to do a radio show that was totally different than a normal radio show. So our radio show really projects things that society is afraid to speak about. And when I came across your book, I was like, oh, wow. I've never seen no one speak about LGBT community on the radio openly, and then a parent speaking from their perspective on how they felt on their child being transgender. So when doing my research, I did notice that you are also a foster mother.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
And how did that come about? Because I know you've been a parent since 14. So what actually made you want to become a foster mother?
Actually, a friend of mine is a foster mom. A couple of friends of mine are foster moms. And I I was just like, wow, y'all really, they already have kids and then they're a foster mom. I'm like, how do you go about doing that? Because I needed help when I was younger, and I wish I had some more adult good influences, so to speak. And so I always wanted to be that for somebody else. So my husband and I decided to, take the classes.
Okay.
And became foster parents.
That's great. See, I wish there was a lot of people out here in society, because there are a lot of individuals that don't have the strength to go ahead and take care of their own child. So then they end up in the system. And then no matter if it's good or bad, they end up in the system, and then the child is left alone. And so I applaud you for being that individual who had the strength, you and your husband, to go ahead and take another child in. So we're going to get into your book. When you were 14, you were in a relationship with your first two children's father, correct?
Correct.
And when you were in that relationship, you stated in the book that it was an abusive relationship. And I noticed that you got the strength to go ahead and step out of that relationship. But what actually pushed you to the point to go ahead and step out of the relationship? Was it because you had two children and you wanted better for them? Or was it because I'm Vivian and I'm just tired of taking his crap?
Actually, I do talk about my last, how they say, the straw that broke the camel's back. I talk about it in the book, but there was an instance with my first kid's father. He was a drug dealer, and I didn't make my book about that.
Yeah.
I don't glorify those kinds of things, but it is what it is. That was my life. And he had said that he wanted to go to his grandmother's house. He had to make a stop first in Brooklyn to visit his cousin, who I changed her name in the book. And it was just a really crazy situation, because I'm thinking I'm going on a family, trip to his mom. We had the kids, and we were trying to work things out. It just didn't work out that way. And he ended up putting a whole bunch of drugs in the back of the car. And, my kids were in the car. And things just got really ugly. And he got really abusive. Like, he punched me in my face, pulled my hair out.
Things that you didn't accept of.
I was just done. He had done them before, but not to this extent, and not in front of my kids.
Okay.
So I knew at that point, you don't have respect for my kids. You don't have respect for me. So I am just done with this relationship.
Okay. And I'm not going to go more into that. That is all I need from that. I'm just trying to give the audience a background of who and the person that you are now versus the person that you were back then, even though it seems like you are totally not much different, because I still hear the strength in your voice as I'm being honest. I still hear the strength in your voice as the 14-year-old young lady who was a mother of one at the time, and then at 16 was a mother of two. And I still hear that you had the strength then to not take no nonsense from no one. Now, going into your book, you talk about, is it okay for me to use the name that you use, Khadijah?
Yeah, you can use that because it's in the book.
Okay, great. I just want to make sure. So you birthed Kadijah, and then Kadijah came to confide in you that I'm no longer Kadijah. I'm not who you think I am. I want to be a male. I read in your book that you spoke about the testosterone, and how did that affect you seeing that package coming up into the home?
Man, that package, it was a struggle with that package, because that package represented what my child wanted to be, and at that particular moment in time, I didn't agree with what my child wanted to be. So that was definitely a big struggle for me, and I literally had to catch myself and pray about it. I literally had to pray about it, because it was just it was something I couldn't handle on my own, and I felt like if I take this package and throw it in the garbage, one, it's going to devastate my child. Yeah. Two, what does it really do for me? You understand what I'm saying? Even if I did trash it and throw it in the garbage, what does it do for me? my child is still gonna go and do whatever he wants to do.
Yeah.
So if it's not that package, it'll be another package. You know what I'm saying? And
yeah.
Why do I want to create that negative thing between me and my child who I love unconditionally? You understand what I mean?
I totally understand.
So that was how I came to terms with that.
And another question for you, coming to terms with that, would you have been more comfortable with Khadijah being more so, or your son, I should say, I don't want to call him Khadijah. Would you be more comfortable with your son being a lesbian, or would you have, or are you okay now at this point with your son being who he is?
Well, I'm okay with it now because my son is who he is.
Exactly.
At that point in time, I think I would have taken it less harder, so to speak, if he was just like, you know, like a butch lesbian.
Mm-hmm.
I would have accepted that more than the whole trans thing. But, you know, everything is said and done now. I mean, now it's all in the past. And, of course, your love for your child is what it is. Love your child, and that's just it. They're the same person, same feelings. They have the same habits. It's just a different show. Correct.
And you do talk about your religious background, and I do see that you are a Muslim. How did that affect your religious background, as far as, because some people, okay, I'm gonna be transparent as you're being transparent. You already know I'm openly gay, and so my family, my father's side of my family is Pentecostal. So they kind of shunned me away, even though I wasn't predominantly raised with them. I was raised with my mother's side, and no matter what, my mother used to always instill in my head saying, oh, well, if you're going to be gay, be a boy, which I never really understood that, because at the end of the day, I never had the urge to go ahead and change who I was. I just knew that I was attracted to men.
Right.
At the end of the day. So I knew that I was always going to be a boy. I understood what she was saying, that she didn't want me to be a flamboyant boy. But if I was a flamboyant boy, my mother's not alive now for me to answer that question. But if I was a flamboyant boy, my thing...
Right. I read your book.
Oh, yeah, exactly. So, so my thing is, would she have accepted me? And that's a question that I ask myself every day. But it's something that I can't dwell on, because at the end of the day, I'm almost 30. So now I just have to live for me. Regardless if she would have accepted me or not, I would have lived for myself. My thing with you is you're Muslim, and I know you would never shun your son away because you love him unconditionally. And I know my mother did as well. But how does his father's side of his family respond to his him being a male now?
Well, his father's side of the family, they don't accept it. They still call him Kadijah, and which is crazy to me, because when you look at him, you see a man, and everything has changed to a man. So I don't know why the word Kadijah would even be, you know, said. But,
exactly.
You know, they are also old school Jamaicans.
And that's a culture shock, because
it's a cultural thing where that is not accepted.
Correct.
You know, Kamal has to deal with that.
And that is something that at the end of the day, he has to deal with it, but he doesn't have to accept what they're doing to him. And that's something it's a problem for them more. Yeah, exactly.
Because Kamal lives out here with me. And so my child is always going to be good because he's around me. And he doesn't really look to them for nothing. I know that the relationship is probably not where he would have liked it to be, but there is communication, and I'm not going to say that they don't love him, because of course they love him. But, you know, it is a little strained.
And that's understandable. They as long as the love is still there, that's all he needs at this point. He doesn't need them to accept who he is. He just needs the love, because love is something that is extremely strong, and that is a support system in itself. With that being said, I do want you to go ahead, and if we have any listeners out there that is actually dealing with a child that is going to be transitioning or wants to transition or even wants to be in the LGBT community, what advice would you give to them?
My honest and true advice is to really sit on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying to keep it a secret by no means, because there are people you should, that's a big secret to hold in. Mm-hmm. And you shouldn't have to live up to anyone's standards. But let's keep it real. We all know how our families are.
Yeah.
And you never know how someone is going to react. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know your parents. Like you just said, your mother is not here, and it's something that you always struggle with. But at the end of the day, you know your mother would have accepted you regardless. There is no question about that. But then you have some parents where the kids confide, and the parents kill them, or the parents beat them up.
Yeah.
Or put them out the house, and it's like that to me is so out of control. Because even in my distaste for the things my child chose to do at that time, mm-hmm. I would never think to hurt my child. Never. Bad, yes. Disappointed, yes. But not to the extent. So my thing is always, me personally, I would say consult a professional first. Yeah. Because they can help you. And the resources are out there. There are free resources. Even Medicaid pays for certain things. And just know who you're telling. Make sure that the person you're telling or confiding in is not somebody that is like you're screaming out the window. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
You don't want that. You don't want your business all out in the street for everybody. Make sure, you trust who you're telling. And if you do decide to confide in your parents, make sure that you do a close with your parents so that although they may be disappointed and it's not what they want for you, this is what you want for your life. And it has to come from a loving place. It can't be, I'm gay and you got to accept it. No, you have to come at them slowly, because the same way it is a change for you, it's the same way it's a change for them.
Mm-hmm. And that is true. You have, and I totally agree with you, because when I came out to my family, first of all, I was my grandmother's an old school Puerto Rican. So I was kind of afraid to go ahead and tell her, because of the fact that I didn't want her to shun me out, regardless of what. I know she loves me, but I didn't want her to shun me out, because that's my grandmother. And at the time, my mother had been gone. So that's the closest thing to my mother. So I didn't want her to shun me out. But we have a caller on the line. So I do want to get my caller in. And we only have about 4 more minutes, and my show is only 30 minutes. But I did want to get you on. So I'm going to get this caller in. Okay. And we're going to see what they have to say. Oh, we have a couple of callers. Wow. Okay.
Okay.
Caller, you're listening. Who are you? Introduce yourself.
Yes. Hi.
How you doing?
Hi. I'm good, and you?
I'm doing great. Do you have a question?
Because your show was that. I know you said you have a little bit of time left, so I'm going to make it really quick. I just wanted to ask Vivian, this gossip girl, how was it transitioning from calling a person that you birthed as a daughter, calling that person she, to going from she to he? Because I'm actually a mother that's dealing with the same issue. It's my son who is actually transitioning into a girl. So it's a little hard. I mean, I don't want to come off as not being accepting, because I'm totally accepting of it, but I do sometimes say he, because I'm not totally comfortable with saying she at this moment, because it's new to me. How did you get over that hump? Well, it took me 2 years to get everything together. It's like learning, when you're a little baby and you're learning your ABCs and you jump from D all the way to J or something. You know what I'm saying? It takes time. But as long as it's respectful and you have a great relationship with your child, I just feel like it'll eventually come, because eventually as he transitions from male to female, you're going to start to see a woman. And so you can't call him Raekwon when you see a woman in front of you. You understand what I'm saying? Correct. I agree. But as a mom, it does take time. It's not something that's going to happen overnight. It's not going to take a week, because for however old your child is, that's what you've known your whole life, and now you have to switch it up. So it's going to take some time. And for me, it took 2 years to get it all together. It's fairly new. I mean, it's approaching, like you said, 2-year mark, but again, like you said, when there's something that's all you've known, I just wanted to ask you, was there anything in particular that you did? 90 seconds. Everything that you said, and unconditional love, like you said, it's a must. It's not something that we were taught how to deal with. It's something that we have to learn how to deal with as mothers. And I appreciate you, and I will be purchasing your book as soon as I can. Oh, thank you so much. You're very welcome.
All right, thank you so much. Listen.
Good speaking to you. So I'm going to give you some time for the other callers, okay?
All right, thank you so much, listener, for tuning in, and thank you for calling in.
60 seconds.
Vivian, we got 30 seconds on the time, so I do want to go ahead and get you to go let everyone know, let everyone know where they can purchase your book, where they can follow you on social media, and when is your next book signing if you have one?
I don't have any book signings scheduled as of yet, but they can purchase How I Came to Accept Him by my government name, Vivian Billings, anywhere at Barnes & Noble, Amazon.com, any Barnes & Noble store, anywhere books are sold, and my social media, everything is at Dr. Biz.
Thank you so much for tuning in, and we do appreciate you being a guest on our show, and I'm going to keep in touch with you. We're going to end the show with Titanium because...
Yes, let me know when you post it so I can put up the link.
No problem. Definitely will. We're going to end the show with Titanium because I feel like Vivian is a titanium woman. So everyone, thank you for tuning in to the King B Show. You have a great night.
You shout it out, but I can't hear a word you say. I'm talking loud, not saying much. I'm criticized, hard, but it's ricochet. Shoot me down, but I get up. I'm bulletproof, nothing to lose. Far away. Ricochet, you take your aim. Far away. Shoot me down.
Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in to the King B Show. We were live on YouTube. We appreciate all the views. We are at 1675. We are so appreciative of all the views. And thank you so much, so much for tuning in. I'm getting so many responses right now. This is a blessing, and I would like to thank the man upstairs. That's all I can say. Thank you so much, guys. You have a blessed night.